Donald Trump just got exposed like never before. Michael Steele tears down the entire Trump myth in a brutal takedown you have to hear to believe. Buckle up, because the clown show is finally getting called out.
It's just not normal. This is the musings and actions of a petty, afraid little man who's sitting behind a very big desk and wielding a lot of power. But at the end of the day, he's a scared little boy who feels that this is the only way he can.
Michael Steele just tossed a Molotov cocktail of truth straight at Donald Trump's fragile ego. And honestly, it's the kind of brutal reality check that even Trump's hairpiece might need therapy after hearing. We're not dealing with your run-of-the-mill political gossip today. No, this is the kind of expose that could leave Trump reaching for a coloring book just to cope. When a former Republican National Committee chair finally rips off the MAGA mask, what's underneath? Spoiler alert, it's not a pretty picture. Get ready, because this tea, it's so scalding it might just melt Trump's spray tan right off his face.
He is a fool, an incompetent individual who does not read even the briefings that he still gets as a former president on some of these things, so he at least have some workable knowledge.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any juicier, Michael Steele doubled down. He didn't just call Trump out, he body slammed him straight into the reality that most of us figured out years ago. If you somehow missed the memo, maybe you've been locked inside a MAGA memorabilia shop with no windows. Here's the headline: Trump isn't just winging it, he's crashing the whole plane without even reading the manual. This is the same guy who turned "I don't know, I just feel it" into actual presidential policy. And oh, it's only about to get messier from here. Stick around, because what's coming next? It's the kind of Trump drama that even Fox News probably wishes they could pretend never happened.
I would actually, you know what? I'd just like you to show that you give a damn, that you got a little emotion about the fact that people are losing their jobs indiscriminately. That this individual sitting down at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has given absolute power to one man who brings his son into the Oval Office, whose son says to him, "You're not the president. You shouldn't be in that."
If you thought the truth bomb Steele just lobbed was massive, oh sweet summer child, bless your heart, because this isn't just a bombshell, it's a full-on political meteor strike. For anyone still clinging to the fairy tale that Donald Trump might harbor even a single grain of empathy or common sense, time to pack it up. Trump's entire presidency was basically like letting a bull loose in a Tiffany's, and then acting shocked when everything got smashed to pieces. Steele isn't just spilling tea, he's pouring the entire boiling kettle over Trump's crumbling reality TV facade, and trust me, it's getting spicy.
So America, y'all waking up this morning to a 25% tax on your toys, your electronics, your fresh produce, lumber, and cars, 10% tax if it's coming from China. Y'all don't think this is, you're not going to feel this? In what universe do you not, does someone not pass on their cost to you? Tell me what universe. And would you, as a business owner, if I increased your cost by 25% or 10%, you're not passing that on to your customers? Are you just going to eat?
And somehow, with a media spotlight brighter than the surface of the sun, Trump still managed to trip over his own shoelaces. Again. What Steele exposes here isn't just incompetence, it's a whole art form of catastrophic mismanagement. Picture it: Donald Trump trying to play 4D chess, but he's using a tic-tac-toe board and can't remember the rules. Every move he made, another wild, clueless flail toward power, like a toddler trying to drive a monster truck. At this point, Trump's political strategy is basically failing upwards in a way that only a former reality TV show host could somehow pull off. And buckle up, because the meltdown, it's only getting uglier from here.
I'm like, no, what are you doing? How the hell does this party embrace such Putin-esque?
Let's be real, Donald Trump and common sense go together like oil and water. If sensible decision-making were a dress code, Trump would crash a black tie gala in a neon green tracksuit, sunglasses on, waving a Big Mac like a royal scepter. Michael Steele nails it perfectly. Trump doesn't dabble in diplomacy, strategy, or even basic adulting. His idea of foreign policy? It's like managing a failing casino. If things go south, you just scream "rig," torch the place, and pretend it never happened. Forget Forget nuance, forget history, forget allies. In Trump's mind, the world boils down to two options. They love me or they're dead to me. And naturally, he applies this groundbreaking logic to everything, even when it explodes spectacularly in his face.
Okay,
Okay,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman. How
Chairman.
this party comes to this point where they look at that, they look at Viktor Orban and say, yeah, we want to do that here. They look at Putin and go, more of that. We hate NATO now. We don't align with the free world. We want to hang out with basically folks who are the Taliban. I don't understand.
And seriously, how did we get here? Michael Steele sounds just as baffled as the rest of us with a functioning brainstem. Imagine telling someone in 2010, hey, in a few years, Republicans are going to be fangirling over Viktor Orban and bromancing Putin, and not getting immediately locked in a padded room. Yet here we are. Somehow, the party of Reagan morphed into the party of we hate NATO, let's chill with dictators. It's like watching a bad reality show, but the stakes are nuclear. If you're liking the roast so far, smash that subscribe button because it only gets wilder. Trump, the self-proclaimed business genius, has a financial record more tragic than a toddler let loose with a Monopoly board. And just like a toddler, every time he tanks something, it's never his fault. Because why take responsibility when you can just scream witch hunt and move on? Steele doesn't just call Trump out, he eviscerates him, exposing how Trump's so-called economic plan was basically shouting lies into a microphone until enough people got dizzy and gave up. Spoiler, they didn't. Trump's tower of success turned out to be a hollow Trump tower of lies. Shiny on the outside, completely empty on the inside. Michael Steele's takedown of Trump's leadership style hit so hard, it's practically a public service announcement. Bottom line, Trump leads with the motto, do as I say, not as I do. And if you call me out, expect a 3 a.m. rage tweet coming your way. And with Trump's disaster level crisis management skills, honestly, Steele might have been too kind, but it gets even realer.
Aspect of this, which I thought was how should we put it, rich. It was a rich moment for me when Trump talked about an unelected bureaucracy. Let's take a quick listen to that, please.
We have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to America again. And any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over.
So there were two aspects of that I thought were rich. One, the bobbleheads behind the president voted for those bureaucrats.
Ah yes, Trump, bravely taking on the bureaucracy. You know, the same bureaucracy that his own followers happily voted for? Michael Steele couldn't have served up a bigger slice of irony if he tried. It's like watching a magician complain about magic tricks while pulling a rabbit out of his own hat. Trump's drain the swamp speech here, more like flood the swamp with confusion, bad hires, and reality show drama. If you needed a masterclass in turning a bad situation into a historic train wreck, look no further than Trump's pandemic response. Imagine a squirrel chugging 3 Red Bulls, trying to cross a 6-lane highway during a rush hour, and somehow you're still giving that squirrel the nuclear codes. That's basically how Trump treated COVID. Here's a guy who literally said, I don't take responsibility at all, and then acted shocked when everything went downhill faster than his casino investments. Instead of fighting a pandemic, he treated it like another PR dumpster fire. Deny, deflect, distract, repeat. He thought a global health emergency was just bad press that could be ignored like an ugly tweet. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Michael Steele doesn't sugarcoat it. Because honestly, the truth is brutal. Trump wasn't leading America through a crisis. He was treating it like a Bad Apprentice episode. And somehow, we were all the fired contestants.
Tariffs. He doesn't hold all the cards, but he tells us he does.
Yeah.
And with a compliant, afraid press, legal and judicial community, he gets away with a lot of crap. And so it's important that reasoned voices out there point that out and tell people, no, he got no clothes on. That is a high white ass you see right now.
that does not get the orange suntan like his face does.
And oh, let's not skip Trump's love affair with the media, because Michael Steele absolutely torches him here too. Here's a guy who treats every press conference like a WWE SmackDown, every question like a personal attack, and every journalist like a heel he has to body slam. Trump's favorite insult? Fake news. His least favorite thing? Facts. Watching Trump interact with reality was like binge watching the worst sitcom ever written. Zero plot, endless bad jokes, and a main character who clearly has no idea what's going on, but demands a standing ovation anyway. And then there's the magical cabinet hiring process. Truly a spectacle. Trump didn't pick leaders. He practically rolled dice in the back room and went, yeah, sure, you're Secretary of Defense now. No experience, no problem, no qualifications, even better. As long as you were willing to nod, clap, and praise dear leader louder than anyone else, you were in. Michael Steele's roast here isn't just accurate, it's savage. And honestly, if Trump's leadership style were a resume, it would be one sentence long. Good at hiring yes men, bad at everything else.
In the wake of the mid-air collision near Washington, Donald Trump chose to pull the country apart rather than together. After declaring it to be an hour of anguish for our nation, Trump just 5 minutes later tried to blame diversity policies promoted by Presidents Biden and Obama.
Because of course, why unify when you can divide at maximum volume? Leave it to Donald Trump to take a tragedy and somehow spin it into a cheap, politically charged reality TV moment. Michael Steele nails it here. Trump doesn't lead, he inflames, like tossing gasoline on a fire and then blaming the firefighters for the flames. 5 minutes after calling for national unity, he was already finger pointing like a bad high school group project leader, blaming everyone else for not doing the work. When it comes to the Trump cabinet, it's honestly a miracle the country didn't just spontaneously combust. If qualifications had been a requirement, half the team would have been sent packing before day one. Best resume in Trump world? Just writing yes in big red letters. From a Secretary of Education who seemed confused by the concept of public schools, to a defense secretary whose understanding of strategy topped out at quoting Top Gun, it was less team of rivals and more team of randoms. And how could we not mention the wall? Michael Steele absolutely shreds Trump's obsession with that concrete fever dream. The build the wall chants weren't about fixing immigration, they were about inflating one very fragile ego to cartoonish proportions. It's the political equivalent of buying a Ferrari you can't drive, crashing it immediately, and still insisting it was a huge success. The wall wasn't a solution, it was a monument to one man's insecurity, spray painted in all caps. Then there's Trump's special skill, spewing nonsense at lightning speed. Michael Steele drags him perfectly for it. And seriously, watching Trump invent new facts on the spot was like watching a toddler unleashed in a candy store with a blank check. China virus. Yeah, that disaster was all part of the show. Ignite division, distract the public, dodge accountability, rinse and repeat. Trump wasn't trying to solve problems. He was trying to keep the circus loud enough so no one noticed the tent was on fire. Throughout it all, Steele is practically laughing through the wreckage, gleefully exposing Trump for what he really is. A guy playing poker without even knowing what game he's sitting at, but still flipping over the table and declaring himself the winner.
I know y'all have heard Donald Trump say this quite a bit.
We will drill, baby, drill. We will drill, baby, drill. It's called drill, baby, drill.
I can assure you, I coined that phrase at the Republican National Convention in 2008.
Then let's reduce our dependency on foreign sources of oil and promote oil and gas production at home. Let me make it very clear. Drill, baby, drill, and drill now.
I can also assure you that when I hear Donald Trump use that phrase, it tells me he has very little appreciation or understanding of the current U.S. energy position. It is strong, and it is driven by a robust oil and gas production.
And just like that, another Trump favorite slogan gets exposed as a shallow bumper sticker level misunderstanding. Michael Steele points out, again, that Trump doesn't just misunderstand complex issues, he doesn't even try to understand them. Drill baby drill sounds great on a rally stage, but when it comes to actual US energy policy, Trump might as well be reading from a napkin he doodled on mid-burger run. In the end, Steele's takedown leaves no doubt. Trump isn't a leader, he's a spectacle, not a visionary. visionary, but a walking, gold-plated ego trip, not a strategist, just a chaos agent in an ill-fitting suit. We've all seen the disaster, the tantrums, the Twitter meltdowns, the fast food policy decisions. It's like the entire Trump presidency was one endless bad reality show, and worst of all, nobody could find the remote to turn it off.
It's very simple. It's very simple. When the man running for president of this country says he wants to be a dictator, full stop, I'm done. I don't give a rat's behind what else he's done, because that tells me how he sees the country and how he sees the future of the country, with him as the center of it.
At the end of the day, no matter how much we laugh at the chaos, Steele cuts straight to the bone. The biggest threat wasn't just Trump's stupidity, it was his obsession with power. The only thing more unpredictable than Trump's next meltdown, the circus of enablers who twisted themselves into pretzels trying to make it all seem normal. Instead of leadership, we got spin. Instead of accountability, we got fan clubs. The Trump show didn't just jump the shark, it strapped the shark to a rocket, launched it into orbit, and called it great ratings. Michael Steele's analysis, a brutal, crystal clear reminder that this wasn't politics. It was performance art of the worst kind. Being dragged along for the ride was like being trapped in the front row of the worst clown show ever staged. And spoiler alert, the exits were blocked. Because really, Steele's point isn't shocking at all. It's more like that sinking feeling when you realize you left the stove on. You knew something was wrong, but hearing someone spell it out hits different.
And so how our country deals with these two big behemoths matters. To have a president who's a sycophant in the case of Russia and fundamentally does not understand the economics with respect to China puts us in the position where, yeah, he goes out and has a national liberation day, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean, only to back off the liberation, and so it becomes national capitulation.
And here's the cherry on top. While Russia flexed and China plotted, what was Trump doing, holding fake liberation celebrations before immediately waving the white flag? If political leadership were a group project, Trump would be the guy who shows up late, does none of the work, and then demands to be called the genius mastermind. The cold, brutal truth Steele lays out, Trump wasn't just the disaster we feared. He was worse. A golden tower of bluster hiding an empty, chaotic mess inside. It's honestly impressive, in the same way that watching a dumpster roll downhill into a fireworks factory is technically impressive if you ignore the absolute catastrophe. Trump's whole political career was a tragic soap opera where everyone knew the ending, except Trump. And Michael Steele, he's the guy standing on stage finally yelling, "The punchline's been told." And it's not funny anymore. And trust me, the next Trump disaster, you're not gonna believe how wild it gets. Click and see for yourself.